Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Today on The Young and the Restless, Sharon is asked on a date. Chance grows increasingly suspicious, and Tracy and Alan return from Paris. All products and services featured are independently chosen by editors. However, soaps.com may receive a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the retailer may receive certain auditable data for accounting purposes. At the Abbott mansion, Jack finds Diane working in the living room. She's headed to the office soon. He asks her for lunch, but she's unsure. Tracy and Alan come in. They say Paris was wonderful, but it's great to be back. Tracy frowns when Jack says it's nice to see smiling faces around there. They explain that Alan packed up the townhouse and moved to Genoa City. He just needs a place to live. Diane and Alan leave the room, and Jack and Tracy hug. He asks about Ashley. Tracy says she's doing well, and everything is on track for her to be there for Abby's wedding. Jack tells her a lot has happened while she was away. It's been stressful. Tracy asks if it has to do with Kyle. Jack says it's not getting any better, and he has the feeling they can't fix this. At the club, Victor tells Michael he has a job for him. If he accomplishes it, it will go a long way in getting him back into his good graces. Michael mutters that this relationship has more trials than the Olympics. Victor says he recently acquired a company that has potential to grow, but he didn't tell anyone he bought it. Michael asks, "What's the company?" Victor says, "Glissade. Kyle is going to run it solo." Michael muses that he's on a roll. What could you possibly need an attorney for? At Crimson Lights, Faith tells Maria and Nick she has an update on her mom. She explains she went for a drive last night, which was upsetting considering what happened to Lucy's mom. She apologized for worrying her. Nick asks if she thinks she was being honest. Faith shrugs. "I hate saying this, but I don't know if she's really turned a corner. What if she's just gotten better at hiding what's going on?" On the patio, Phyllis tells Summer about Lucy choosing a necklace of Heather's to wear to keep her clothes. It was gut-wrenching to watch. Lucy laid down after, and she held her until she fell asleep. Summer hopes it will help to have a piece of Heather with her. Phyllis thinks it's great that Chance is on the case and that someone found her phone, which could give them answers. Summer's sure Chance will get to the bottom of this. Phyllis doesn't think Daniel's had a real chance to process this because he's so worried about Lucy. Summer asks if there's anything else going on for her. Phyllis replies, "Yeah, I did this to you and Daniel." She wants to make it up to them. It was so unfair. If she could take it back, she would. Summer tells her mother they have to live in the present. Right now, they can't take away Lucy and Daniel's pain. Heather is gone. Phyllis asks, why did this have to happen? At Daniel's apartment, he welcomes Chance in and expresses frustration that the person with Heather's phone won't reply. He hopes they realize how important it is for him to get it back. Chance warns they may not turn it over. Daniel questions why they'd reach out in the first place. Daniel complains that it's the only thing they have to go on right now. Chance tells him there are other concerns right now. How did a random person gain access to her phone? At home, Sharon flashes to dumping Heather's body in the river and grimaces. She tells herself to get it together. Cameron appears, lounging on the couch, and tells her she has to make a move. He prompts her to call the cops and send them to Daniel's apartment. Sharon doesn't want him. She wants to talk to Cassie. Suddenly, Sharon thinks Nick is there telling her everything is going to be all right. She hugs him, and he says he'll always save her. She goes in for a kiss, but he turns into Cameron, who exclaims, "Nice try." She has to forget the distractions. She still has work to do. Alan and Tracy arrive at the club and sit at a table. Tracy wants to familiarize him with some Genoa City luminaries and directs his attention to Victor and Michael sitting by the window. She explains that Victor has a rivalry with her brother Jack. He always finds a way to torture the Abbotts. At Victor's table, he tells Michael that Kyle proved himself by stealing a new product from Abbott and bringing it to him. He, in turn, fired Audra. Michael thinks that sounds like corporate theft. Victor says the product is in the planning stage. It's up to him to protect him from any fallout. Michael thinks he must be thrilled that Kyle undermined Abbott. Victor says he's finally cutting the cord to his father and manifesting his loyalty to him. As it should be. Just then, Jack and Diane walk in. Jack asks her if she wants to go elsewhere. She says this is exactly where she wants to be. At Daniel's place, Chance asks Daniel what Heather's demeanor was like before she took off. Daniel tells him things haven't been easy these past months. They both lost their jobs, and Faith and Lucy were in a car accident. After, Sharon got really mad at them. They had a few run-ins with her. She went at Heather a couple of times, and the last time was the day before Heather decided to take off. Chance wants to hear more. Daniel says the accident mirrored a lot of the events around Cassie's death, and it obviously stirred up a lot of emotions in Sharon. He knows she'd been thinking about Cassie's death a lot, and seeing him reminds her of the loss. It got to be too much for her, and the accident turned it up a notch. It didn't bother him, but it upset Heather. He's convinced Sharon's attitude played a big part in Heather wanting to get away. At Crimson Lights, Nick tells Faith and Maria they need to keep an eye on their mother. He decides he should spend some one-on-one time with Sharon. At the club, Sharon walks in and flinches when Tracy calls her over. Tracy introduces her to Alan, who is a trained psychotherapist. They talk about her degree, and Alan asks for her input for his book. She says maybe. She's running a company now that keeps her quite busy. She rushes off and Tracy frowns. Alan teases Tracy about her connections. "You are quite amazing." He asks if she knows any realtors. Tracy doesn't, but she has someplace she'd like him to consider. She asks him to move in with her at the Abbott house. She has almost a whole wing. If that's not enough privacy, they could move into the pool house. Alan balks. He doesn't want to crowd her or annoy her family. Tracy appreciates that. They can ask Jack and Diane first, but she knows it won't be a problem. Alan tells her he thinks it's a wonderful idea. At a nearby table, Jack tells Diane that what's happening isn't all Kyle's fault. Victor saw an opportunity with Kyle and capitalized on it. Diane exclaims, "Oh, an opportunity that I caused." Jack protests, "I didn't say that." Diane says that's what you meant. Jack feels she's trying to pick a fight. Diane complains that he's so distracted by sitting in a room with Victor Newman that he can't see that their son is the one destroying their family. At Victor's table, he and Michael watch Jack and Diane and comment on the thick tension. Victor says Audra told him there was trouble between those two. He raises his glass and says, "Cheers, old boy." Daniel joins Summer and Phyllis on the coffee house patio. Lucy stays behind. They ask about his talk with Chance. Daniel says he thinks it's strange that whoever got Heather's phone could unlock it, and then didn't show up. What if someone hurt Heather? He worries she was the victim of a mugging. Phyllis can't understand why she was at the river when she told them she wanted to get out of town for a while. Daniel says none of it adds up. At Crimson Lights, Faith worries that Nick doesn't have time to spend one-on-one time with her mother right now. Nick will make time because she's struggling. They talk about Faith taking time off from school to be with Sharon. It doesn't mean she has to be her babysitter. Faith just wants her to be better, and to help her in just the right way. Mariah touches her hand. This is hard. Faith and Mariah both think it will be good for Nick to spend time with her. He can read her better than they can. Nick says it will be a relief to see her back to her old self again. On the coffee house patio, Daniel has stepped away and rejoins Summer and Phyllis with a shocked look on his face. He says he got a call from a hospital in Lisbon. Paul had a heart attack shortly after he gave him the news about Heather. He's recovering, but can't travel and won't make Heather's service. Phyllis gasps and Summer cries. That's terrible. Daniel says the shock of losing his only daughter nearly cost him his own life too. At the club, Diane asks Jack to accept the truth about Kyle and stop blaming Victor for everything. He agreed to betray them. Jack can't believe she has this little compassion for their son. Diane fumes that he's a grown man who disrespected them and wants to sabotage their company. Everyone hears them as Jack protests that he doesn't feel they've supported him. Diane hollers, "You don't mean we, do you, Jack? You mean me?" She doesn't think he's ever fully committed to believing she's changed, and she's sick of it. She storms off. At Victor's table, he tells Michael to go check on her. Victor shoots a smug look in Jack's direction. Jack sips his drink, and Tracy tells Alan she thinks she should go to him. Alan suggests she give him a little time. She can't believe how bad things have gotten. Jack would never argue in public, certainly not in front of Victor. Victor sidles up to Jack, who squeezes his eyes shut and tells him to go away. Victor thinks he's not only lost the respect of his son, but his wife. What the hell would John Abbott think about his son now? Summer meets up with Chance at Society and tells him Paul Williams had a heart attack in Lisbon. He won't be able to come to Heather's memorial service. Chance sighs. He'll have to tell everyone at the department and his mom. Summer doesn't want to impose on his investigation, but she asks if his conversation with Daniel helped. Chance says she had cause to be upset. But why go to the river if you're trying to split town? Why would the person with the phone send a message, or how could they know her password? There are questions and not enough answers. Daniel and Phyllis walk into Crimson Lights from the patio. Nick gives Daniel a hug. Faith and Mariah tell him how sorry they are for his loss. Nick asks how he's holding up. Daniel says it's day by day, minute by minute. Nick says it's gonna be like that. If he needs anything, he can call him. Faith asks them to tell Lucy she's thinking about her. Sharon walks in as Nick asks about Lucy, and Daniel says she's doing as well as she can be. She listens as Daniel tells the others about Paul's heart attack after learning what happened to his daughter. Sharon gasps out loud. In the jazz lounge, Diane's drinking at the bar when Michael walks in and says, "That was quite the display up there. You okay?" He asks what happened. She says Victor happened. Kyle went to work with him, and now Jack is so consumed with hatred for the mustache that it's affecting their marriage. She asks who sent him down there. Michael claims he came under his own steam and urges her to confide in him. Diane says Jack and Victor's mutual obsession with each other has snowballed. It's affected her marriage, their relationship with Kyle, even Jabot. Up in the dining room, Victor wonders how John would deal with Jack's many failings. Jack tells him they will work their way through this. Victor chastises Jack and his wife for firing his own son. His sympathies are with Kyle. At Society, Chance wonders if Heather went to the river to meet someone who knew her well enough to get into her phone. Summer doesn't think she knows anyone that well and asks if he's suggesting she was seeing someone else. That would destroy her brother. Chance only knows this is starting to look less and less like an accident. At Crimson Lights, Sharon asks Daniel to pass along her regards for a speedy recovery to Paul. Daniel says he will. Phyllis says they should go. They leave. Faith asks Sharon if she's okay. Sharon reassures her. Maria says there's been a lot of bad news lately. Sharon insists she's fine and urges her daughters to go. They exit. Nick and Sharon remark on the terrible news. He asks if she's free tonight and would like to have dinner with him. She says she'd love that. He nods. It's a date. Sharon beams. Next on The Young and the Restless, Sharon receives mixed signals from Nick. Cole questions Victoria about their future, and Chance launches an investigation into Heather's death.